So Michael and I were having a bit of a discussion about, because I'm actually a closeted musician myself. And we were talking about this song, Kyrie, and I said, oh, who did that, Alan Parsons? And he goes, no, Mr. And then we proceeded to get into this wonderful little conversation about what does Kyrie eleison mean? It really means, Lord, have mercy. And I thought, you know what? That is so perfect for this particular season that we're in, especially going into the week of Thanksgiving. Now, mind you, we shouldn't just be grateful for 1 week, right? Right? It should be something that we are constantly aware of. I mean, I look at, every day and I think, you know what? I need to take an inventory of how God works in my life each day. And I often just kind of go through the day, and at the end, when I wake up the next day and just, keep going, and all of a sudden, I'll get stopped. And I'll say, wow, there's been so much that has been going on, and I have yet to give credit to the universal power that is within me, but is all around me, which is so loving to allow me to have this experience of life. And I am so grateful for how it works through me, as me, and around me. And I often wonder how is our gratitude quotient? How do we really say gratitude? Now, most of us would say, well, we have to say it in a prayer. Well, if you want to do it that way, just say, thank you, God. That's easy, right? That's all we really have to do is say, thank you, God, and all is good. Now, the other part of us can also go into a deepening where we take and we journal. And then we recognize how God has worked through us, as us, and what it has given. I know that there are many things that I am continually to be grateful for. In fact, ASU. I know. Well, I know. But I know. I'm a graduate from ASU, so we are on the top 12. We only have, I know. We have another game and we're in. So I'm excited for ASU, grateful for them, and a lot more. I'm also very grateful. I mean, I'm not going to go into my list, but I think the very top thing right now is this beautiful spiritual community that I have been invited to at the very first of this year to love and guide, and that we are continually moving, and literally now, there's no secret that we are going to be leaving this beautiful opportunity right here with Little Theater, and so grateful that we've had this opportunity to be in this space, that they've provided this beautiful encapsulated space for us to be able to live and grow and know who we are, and which is a beautiful spiritual community, and I'm so forever grateful for them. Thank you. Thank you for that. And the other part is that we will be entering into a new experience on a new campus, and we will be able to expand and live and breathe and have our being in so many different ways, and y'all are going to get your potlucks back. So that is going to be awesome. And it's not about the potlucks, as I've said. It's about, being in community, which is so important. And to tell you the truth, I've missed it also. So I am so looking forward to being able to have that. We're going to have 30 minutes before our service, and we can have lots of time after. So you all can just fellowship away any way you want to. So it's going to be a wonderful experience, and I'm truly, truly grateful. And so Ernest Holmes, he said this: the reason we can make our requests known for Thanksgiving is because we know from the beginning that we are to receive, and therefore we cannot help being thankful. This grateful attitude to the Spirit puts us in a very close touch with power and adds much to the reality of the thing that we are dealing with. So what happens is when we are feeling like nothing in the world is working for us, What would happen if we decided to say, you know what, thank you, God, for this experience. As I told you all last week, I was in very much gratitude for the experience of having, a breast cancer, and I am healed from it. I am complete. I am done. I am clean. But I am very glad that I had that experience because I got to know a different culture and a different way of being, and I'm just truly grateful. So I want us to think about a few things. I'm going to ask you this, and you don't have to write this down, but in your mind, I want you to rate this 1 to 5. 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. So your attitude of gratitude. I believe it is spiritual to prosper. I believe it is spiritual to prosper. I feel comfortable about asking others for help. I am optimistic in general about life, not only when things are going just as I think they should, but in other times. I feel comfortable being asked for help by others. I enjoy paying my bills and bless them. And that's important. I am aware of my unlimited spiritual resources. How'd y'all do? Yeah. Yes. An attitude of gratitude, and I will invite you all to have this, is as a spiritual practice. It is important to have an attitude of gratitude for pretty much for everything that we experience, because when we experience that attitude of gratitude, it will shift and change not only your mind, but the world around you. Instead of seeing things as, the Eeyore syndrome of, this is a bad day, I'm so grateful for whatever's going on right now. I have no idea what it's supposed to teach me, or I'm supposed to learn from this, but I know that God is opening me up to this experience for whatever reason, and I'm going, okay, bring it. We do. And we just lovingly say yes. A life of gratitude is connecting within your heart. It's expressing love and appreciation for all of life. And it is from the little to the larger things in our life. Practicing gratitude, it aligns us with the grace of God. And Lord, have mercy. The grace of God. The grace of God that we shall go forward. We shall continue to move and breathe and prosper. Practicing gratitude allows us to live in the truth of abundance. Many feel that, if there's a prosperity gospel or prosperity knowledge, it's not about money, even though it comes off that way. Abundance is about everything in our lives. It's not about the money, even though we try. We take classes on it, we teach classes on it, but what we really should be teaching is that when we have an abundant and prosperous and grateful mindset, everything is available to us infinitely. And we will experience monetary abundance. We will experience, the abundance of good and greater things. It's just moving into that mindset. When we step into the practice of gratitude, we are actually stepping into another wonderful little word called trust. We are trusting the universe and saying, bring it on. I can handle it. Trust me, I can handle whatever you want to throw at me. And I know it's good. And what I understand also is that on a spiritual level, it expands my heart. It expands who I am. And what it does by that, it requires me to go deeper. It requires me to go deeper within myself. It requires me to say, what is this relationship with this God? This infinite presence that I I want to know and connect to so badly. You're already connected. It's called love. And spirit does not pick and choose. You're always loved. You have an infinite abundance of love. It multiplies. And what we give out, we get back. And that goes along with our thoughts. What you give out, you get back. So when we're thinking, about how we're not really agreeing with what the world is dishing out right now, how can we turn that around and say, you know what? I know that there's a highest good possible. I understand things are uncomfortable, however they may be. But for me, or whoever, whatever the experience is, but I know that there's a consciousness of love that is swirling and whirling around, and God is not going to drop us. It's not going to happen. But what our part of the doing is that we have to trust, as I've said before, trust the process. And that process is love. And sometimes what happens within ourselves is we have to work on something here. It's not about, it's like, well, this has to be done over here. No. It's actually a mirror reflecting back, saying, this, my beloved, is what maybe you should look at within yourself. And that's not a bad thing. What happens is you start looking at things and you say, well, this is how I look at the world. Ooh, maybe that's not so good. How can I change that? How can I shift that? And when I shift and change that attitude into gratitude, it's like, wow, all of a sudden the world gets a little bit better and a little bit brighter. And then something else comes up and I go, oh, well, how can I do this? How can I do that? And it just continues to come. And as I said, it's about trust. When we practice gratitude, we are actually practicing ease, joy, thanksgiving, peace, and love, which are certainly worth growing into. The way we see how all this works in religious science is that it's my good and I can have it. That's what Emma Curtis Hopkins used to say. It's my good and I ought to have it. So claim your good. Ernest Holmes created religious science so that we could understand how the energy works. We are a faith and we're a philosophy. So the philosophy part of it is how we live, what we believe. And that belief is that we're all good and that we're all unified. And I know, as I've said before, it's a Pollyanna maybe way of looking at things, but I look at it as I would much rather look through a lens of good than look through a cracked lens of everything is gray. When we practice the attitude of gratitude, as Ernest said, he says, an attitude of gratitude is most salutary, meaning that it is of value and benefit and it promotes good health. Imagine that? Wow. Our attitude of gratitude and the way we look at things could affect our health? Well, yeah. Think about, the uncomfortableness of something, whatever it is, and then you start feeling kind of like sick and all these weird things start happening. And why? Because you've invited something in that doesn't have to be there. Joy can be there. That's one of the wonderful things about religious science, and I actually say I didn't really have a choice when I was given religious science through my mother, even though I was a Presbyterian for about 5 years. But I was given a gift, and I didn't realize it until I went out. And I realized that, within certain faith traditions, you look at things differently. And with religious science, we look at things in a positive way. How can we make it better? How can we do things better? And once you begin to see life through the eyes of gratitude, you will find yourself being actively positive and becoming more and more optimistic. I drive my husband crazy, but that's every day. Because I look at the world differently. I love him dearly, and he knows that. He sometimes looks at things through an Eeyore syndrome. Or he looks at the mountain is so high to climb, there is no way it can be conquered. He calls me his little plodder because I plod. I plod along. I don't look at, I do. I look at something and I'll say, okay, how are we going to do this, Rhonda? And then I realize that there are steps to getting where I want to go. And those steps will go forward for a little bit, and then they'll go to the side. And then they'll go forward a little bit, and then they'll go to the other side. But I get there eventually. And I look at those steps of what I've done. How did I get there? And what was my inspiration? And my inspiration is that Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, it's got my back. And it is always that. So in our week of Thanksgiving and all the wonderful things that I hope that each and every one of you and myself experience, family, friends, whatever it is, I have included, and thank you, Marianne, for doing this for us. I found this wonderful prayer. I'm not going to read it, but this is all for you. This is your homework. Thanksgiving prayer by Howard Thurman. I love Howard Thurman. He was a minister, as it says in the bottom. He was an African-American theologian, preacher, and activist. And he brought such amazing words and wisdom to our culture. And he has this very wonderful, long Thanksgiving prayer that I have asked us to look at this week. And as we gather around wherever we are, my husband and I are going to be at the Unity potluck. We are orphans, basically. My husband's family is no longer around, and my brother lives in Prescott, which I might be going to. We haven't finalized that yet, but I know that I want to spend time with all of you and the spiritual family that we are embarking on being. Well, we are. I shouldn't say embarking on being, but we're growing. And so we're going to have this beautiful invitation to be, I have to say this right so nobody panics. Two separate communities, but coming together as one sometimes, not all the time. So I appreciate the opportunity for us as two spiritual communities to come together and break bread and share ideas and share whatever it is, and just know that God is right where we are. And I trust that all of you will experience God's love every day, 24 hours, 365, 7 days a week. I just say thank you, God. I love you. Namaste. And so it is.